Hey everybody, welcome back to the Lore and Valor podcast. I'm just doing a Sunday afternoon live stream. It's the first time I've ever tried this. Just logged in to share some progress on the writing front, maybe talk about what I'm reading a little bit, and just check in, let you know how the channel is going as well. So, on the writing front, my current priority project is Countdown Criminal Enterprises, which is the next novel in Tom Kratman's M Day series. So I'm about 41,000 words on that, and I expect this one to be kind of a clunker. Probably it's going to check in, if I were to guess, it would probably be something like something to the tune of 150K words is what we're looking at there. So that'll be, um, that'll be probably about the length of it. I'm also, for secondary effort, we've got the sequel to Romanov Rescue, which is The Winter of Sapphire and Steel. I'm kind of more in a support role on that one. My co-authors, Casey Azell and Tom Kratman, have kind of got the lead on that for now, and I'll jump in when it's about my time to write that. Really exciting. Both those are from Baen Books, which was the publisher I was gunning for since I was a 22-year-old still in the Army, hoping someday that somebody would read something I wrote. So all very exciting. No short fiction going on right now. I have some stuff out in anthologies from years past, but I'm not working on anything in the short fiction department at the moment. After Countdown Criminal Enterprise and Winter of Sapphire and Steel, I'm probably going to get back to my solo novel that I have the first draft done, but I still have to edit and revise. Since I completed that draft, I think I've learned a lot from my co-authors and the editing team at Baen and Chris Kennedy Publishing when I've worked with them. So, yeah, so that's, a lot of authors have said, ideas are the least of your problems usually as an author. So I know for the next several years at least, I'll be working on, I have ideas already in the hopper, which is a good place to be. And a lot of them are already spoken for by a publisher, which is an even more joyous place to be. So Countdown Criminal Enterprises, like I said, it's the next book in Tom Kratman's M Day series. It's a book set in the midst of the Mexican drug war. It's pretty grimdark in tone. Your heroes, you have some heroes in the Mexican military. You have some heroes in a private military contractor, and then they're up against the cartels, naturally. And if you've read up on the drug war at all, it's a pretty terrible situation in Mexico. One that, if I'm being frank and not to get too political, but one that we've exacerbated with our policies quite a bit. So that has been an interesting thing to research and to write, but it hasn't exactly been light and fluffy. It's been a pretty tough slog getting through a lot of it because it is just it's such a complicated problem with so many tragic consequences for so many people who did nothing to deserve it. But that being said, it's an exciting story. It's a thriller in the tradition of a Tom Clancy, I would say. I grew up on those. It's funny. I really intended when I was trying to break in, I really thought of myself as a science fiction and fantasy author almost entirely, but through happenstance and who I happened to break in with as writing partners, I've been given opportunities to write alternate history and now a thriller, which no objections to, but it's not where I plan to be. So that's probably something to keep in mind if you're trying to break into the publishing industry yourself. Like you're going to end up with opportunities you didn't expect. So semper gumby, stay flexible. For Winter of Sapphire and Steel, like I said, that's the follow-up to Romanov Rescue, and Romanov Rescue is a alternate history novel that's set at the end of World War I in the beginning of the Russian Civil War that posits the survival of at least one Romanov heir and a alternate take on the outcome of the Russian Civil War from there. So that's all exciting. I think I'll be done with Countdown Criminal Enterprises and first draft turned in by the end of the year. Even pessimistically, with the pace I've been able to keep with my daytime career being very busy, I think I'll be able to finish off that manuscript by the end of the year, turn that into Tom, so he can take his pass, add his bits to it, and then hopefully we can get it published in 2023 or 2024. But we don't control that. That's not our decision. So that's a pretty good summary of the writing front. Gods and Men Alike, the project after next, is one I'm really excited about. It's my military fantasy series. So it's modern tech, but posits that the various pagan pantheons of various mythologies are all real and influencing the world. So it's not the first story of its kind in that respect, but I do hope to have my own interesting take on it. The way I've described it is kind of if you mashed up elements of Band of Brothers with Clash of the Titans, with a little bit of the hopefully the best parts of the BSG remake. So that's my elevator pitch for it real quick. I'm really excited about that. It follows two officers, one of whom is from the aristocracy of Athens, the Koloi Kagathoi, so to speak, and then the other is a Jewish young man living in Athens who's, both outside society and within the Athenian society at that point. But again, it's projected forward where your technology is not quite to what we are now, but more like in the 60s and 70s, in terms of what's technologically possible. So you have jets, tanks, machine guns, primitive computers, but you also have magic, gods, mythical creatures. I'm really excited to get back to that at some point. As far as what I've been reading, I finally picked up a novel by Gordon R. Dickson titled The Final Encyclopedia. Now, if you're a military science fiction fan, you're probably familiar with the Dorsai series. The Final Encyclopedia is kind of the climax of that whole series. And even though I've been a big fan of Dorsai, I've never actually gotten to read the actual final book of the series. So this is, I read Dorsai for the first time when I was 12, and I'm 39. So this is 27 years in the making. So that's pretty exciting. I actually read a lot of the events depicted in Dorsai, outside society and within the Athenian society. A lot of the events depicted within Final Encyclopedia were also depicted in a book called Young Blaze, which is the same story from the antagonist perspective. So I actually got the bad guys version of the story before I got the heroes version of the story. So that's been interesting. On the nonfiction front, again, kind of geared towards research for Countdown Criminal Enterprise, I've been reading Ion Grillo's Narcos book about the Mexican drug war. Very well researched, pretty comprehensive, good stuff. I'd already finished Tom Wainwright's book, Narconomics, which I highly recommend for basically everyone, since the United States is embroiled in the drug war and this is an issue you should probably really understand. I do recommend you check that out. And then the other thing I've been reading is Blood and Fire by T.H. Ferembach. He wrote a pretty famous history of the Korean War. He was himself a veteran of that war. It's a good book. It's popular history for sure. It's kind of low on citations, but still definitely worth reading. As far as the channel itself, we're doing okay, I think. We had some disruptions last month. I was down with COVID for a couple weeks. I changed my daytime career, so now the schedule and the travel is a little different. Still been able to maintain my word count pace, which is good. And I really, I love my old employer and I like my new employer too. So it's all going well in that regard. But yeah, just been an adjustment period. I haven't had as many occasions to record as I did initially. But right now we're sitting at, I've got 9 videos published and 3 scheduled. And I'll put links to those in the comments below so you guys know when that's coming up. The next thing up is I reviewed episode 1 of Shadow and Bone with brilliant author and friend of mine, Mona Lisa Foster. Then after that is my review of episode 3 of Arcane with fellow authors Casey Azell and Joelle Presby, who, as I point out on this whenever I record with them, are Air Force Academy and Annapolis graduates, respectively. So anytime you watch all 3 of us, you've got all 3 flavors of Ring Knocker. from the service academies. And then after a review of Arcane on Friday at 5, these are all Central Times. On Friday at 5, you've got my review with Sam Platisky, independent filmmaker extraordinaire, of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which was interesting because we kind of agreed on what happened, but we had some different feelings on what we felt about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So we're sitting at 24 subscribers so far, and we've been at it a little more than a month, which is not bad. And recording has been a little uneven. I'm trying to standardize that, but we'll see. This is, I have to admit, this is a bit of an auxiliary effort. I'm going to try to get more regular. I'm going to try to do these Sunday updates every week after church, after I've had a chance to scarf down some free birds and get into some comfier clothes. But yeah, don't see anyone in the comments or anything, so appreciate you tuning in. I'll go ahead and get this published to YouTube as well after it's done. That's all I have for Lore and Valor today, and until next time, keep up the fire.